do it. All right, Stochastic, here we go. It's your old pal EMac coming to you on a Saturday afternoon. College football in full swing, week 1. Last week was week 0. We've got even more college football tomorrow. They were just sending this out in dribs and drabs. My alma mater doesn't kick off until 11 o'clock tonight. What do you think the over-under is of me making opening kickoff tonight, Matt?
I mean, over under, like, you're not making it, so there is no over under. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's not even a wager out there to make. My sports book doesn't even have a lineup because it's so.
Yeah, it's last night I made it to almost midnight, and I'm paying for it today, so I don't know if I'll make it. Fortunately, they're favored by the Washington Huskies. For those wondering, they are hosting Weber State. This is their debut in the Big Ten, technically, since there is no more Pac-12. So yeah, it is. I was going to try to stay up. I don't know if I will or not. I've got my coffee though. We're going to have one and see how far that takes me tonight. But
I think my book has it. EMac no minus 3,700. That's all. You can bet it, but the odds are minus 3,700.
There you go.
Yeah, that's probably about fair. Plus my wife's been gone all day, so she's going to come back and I'm going to tell her what time the kickoff is, and she's just going to glare at me. And she goes, I'm not going to want to deal with you grumpy tomorrow. So good times here. But let's talk a little baseball. 10 gamer here. We have a lot of the teams are pushing things a little bit later since weather is cooling down. Not as many afternoon games. So this will be a fun one here. Quite a few are top-heavy pitching, but a lot of options down the board. We do have Coors Field in play. We also have the Great American Ballpark in play. Weather does not look to be much of a factor. I think there was a little hint of rain in the Midwest. I want to say I think it was for Cincinnati, but that doesn't even look like it's going to be too bad here. And we're definitely not going with the pitchers in Cincinnati. So, Matt, I turn this over to you, good sir. Who's at the top here for you, and why is it Brian Wu and Zach Wheeler?
Damn, know how you doing? Know how have you been? Just damn. Okay.
I had half the people give feedback if you didn't talk enough baseball last Sunday, and the other half was like, well, I want to hear more about 70s TV. So, trying to get on track here, so then we have time to meander.
Yeah, so as far as pitching goes up top, I think Wheeler looks really good. You know, I don't love the matchup, but I don't mind it either. I've played righties against the Braves recently. David Festa was really, really good against them. So I got no qualms with Wheeler here. He's expensive and the highest owned. So talk about this a lot. Whenever you get that dynamic, can always make the case to fade guys like that. Even Blake Snell last night. I played in the 250 4-entry max. I played 4 lineups in it, and I played him twice. He was 77% owned. One of my non-Snell lineups took it down. So it was like a baby contest, kind of like, I don't know why they made contests smaller last night, but that's been happening to me lately. Like the times I go in a lot bigger, I'm losing, but you know how that goes. But either way, I took it down with non-Snell because Snell was really good, but so was Pablo Lopez, so was McGill, and so was Albert Suarez. So were a couple other guys. So, like, yeah, I think that Wheeler deserves to be the highest owned, and he's priced correctly, but I don't think he's like some must play. As far as the guys up top, though, if I'm spending up, it's Wheeler. It's not really a question about pivoting off of Wheeler to someone else expensive. It's just about whether I roster someone expensive at all because there's really pricey bats. Wheeler's my top guy, but I don't think he's a must just because of the price tag and ownership. Bunch of good cheap options. After Wheeler, my next favorite is Brian Wu. I've been on Wu a lot. He's been really, really good. Again, always prefer these Seattle pitchers at home, but couldn't really ask for a better matchup against this Angels team that really struggles against right-handed pitching. Kirby was not good last night. Don't really care. Wu is not going to be owned. He's almost 1,500 cheaper than Wheeler. So if I could play Wheeler and Wu together, I would. But if I can't, I don't mind pivoting from Wheeler to Wu. And then there's some cheaper guys we'll talk about. But yeah, I'll probably play a good amount of Wheeler just because there aren't really other expensive guys I like.
And that's what makes sense. And we'll get into, we're going to give a higher level takes here, and then we'll start to parse out some of the ownership a little bit and talk a little bit of lineup construction as well. The Coors Field makes things really interesting when you have top end pitchers, because you're seeing the sites kind of respecting a little bit these aces. They're not quite the same levels they used to be on DraftKings, when things used to get up to like $12,000 for Apex, Clayton Kershaw, Justin Verlander, Mad Max, guys of that ilk, Syndergaard, etc. But they also don't have quite as many $3,000 players. So things have smoothed out just a little bit, and we don't see the $4,000, $5,000 pitcher very often. So it's kind of looking at that second pitcher that really helps you decide if you're kind of shoring up your two spots for pitching, or if you're going to be going wish casting at some point. So Wheeler is currently second best pitcher in the National League Cy Young Award race. He has a plus 450 odds. Chris Sale's minus 750. So people are like, oh my God, Sale's so old. Wheeler's like about a year younger than Sale. People tend to forget that, but this is his age 34 season. He's actually setting personal highs of a 2.74 ERA, a 1.0 WHIP, and his 9.9 strikeouts per 9 innings are shy of just one of his other seasons. So he is just kind of at the apex of his powers, and his quality starts. 2 more and he's going to have a career high. He's got 19. I think it's 19 right now, which has him up in the top 10 across Major League Baseball. So he's been really, really good. Atlanta, we started talking, or I was talking with Mike, producer Mike, a little bit about this earlier. Atlanta has a 10-3 record over the last 13 games, but they've only scored 5 or more runs 5 times in that stretch. They've been winning with pitching. And they're missing, still missing some key hitters with Acuna, Riley, and Ozzie Albies out. So that waters down that lineup, because you end up looking to the likes of, let's see who is actually in the lineup. So Whit Merrifield kind of leading off now. You're getting a platoon from Jared Kelenic and Ramon Laureano, but it's been Laureano getting the start the last couple times when a righty's been on the mound. You would think the platoon says Kelenic against righties, Laureano, who's good against lefties. That hasn't necessarily been the case. And of course, Gio Urshela has resurfaced with Riley out. So they move Michael Harris down in the order, because he was dealing with injuries as well. He's just not quite performing after returning from injury, not performing as well. So this is it's a watered down lineup when you look at, oh my God, this was like an all-star lineup, especially last year when they had 6 all-stars or whatever it was. This year it's still pretty good, but the injuries have them counting on a bunch of players that we wouldn't normally see, hence the 3.4 implied run total. And that's appropriate. A lot of teams in the league would kill for this lineup, but this is not what we're used to seeing from Atlanta. And then with Woo, I've been the one, calling out, hey, he's getting by on efficiency. Hey, we've seen him miss, knocking on wood as a Mariners fan, we've seen him miss starts every month this season, except for August with injuries. He's either been on the injured reserve or had his starts pushed back or skipped. So he, in his last 5 starts, is actually gotten averaging almost 90 pitches per game. So that is very helpful. The Mariners really need to win this. They got to take this series. They got
to sweep this series.
Yeah, they have a 20% chance of making the playoffs right now. So this is one of those where, all right, we save somebody for the postseason. We may not get to see him in the postseason. Over his last 7 appearances, he has a 1.70 ERA, a 2.6 FIP, and a 3.4 xFIP. So yeah, he's been lucky per se. That's still really, really good. But he's also a pitcher that tends to outpitch his metrics. So I'm feeling pretty good about him today, especially on DraftKings at 8,800. He's still in play on FanDuel. He's got a shot at the quality start, especially in this matchup. And the Angels have just been a mess. I mean, you saw them get 5 runs last night and they still lost. 9-5. Yeah. So those are our top 2 pitchers here. But I'm actually advocating for Woo instead of wrapping it in a bunch of caveats. So that was a little surprising for me. What do we have after this dynamic duo? that you see?
So I'm surprised at how highly Frankie Montas ranks in the top pitcher tool. Like I get it. It's a price, and Cincinnati strikes out a lot against righties, but it's still a tough ballpark. You know, a lot of downside for Montas here. And I guess the elephant in the room is Edward Cabrera. You know, just too cheap in this spot, too cheap in general for his strikeout upside. We've seen spots recently where he's been really chalky in tougher matchups against Philly 2 starts ago where he was around this price. His last start, he wasn't popular in Colorado, and tonight he's going to be popular again. You know, great ballpark, comparable to his home ballpark in Miami. Gets this San Francisco team that, you know, just isn't very good. So yeah, he looks really good in the tools. I'm going to kind of zag while everyone else zigs. I'm not going to play Cabrera. I'm going to play some San Fran against him. He's just so volatile. He's getting played because of his price, and he's too cheap, no doubt about it. But I think there's a lot of upside going against him. So yeah, I'm like playing the other side of that, but Cabrera certainly stands out at his price. The guy that I like a lot is the guy opposite Cabrera here, Mason Black, 5,500. So even cheaper than Cabrera, in an even better spot against Miami. I'll take San Fran's lineup over Miami's. You know, he hasn't been really that good. He hasn't been good in the majors and limited opportunities, but on a really nice roll in the minors right now. He's a guy with high prospect pedigree. He's just really cheap. Again, Miami in San Francisco. Give me some Mason Black here at 5,500. With on a slate, like you said, with really expensive bats. I want to play Baltimore here, and you got to do some things to get there.
Yeah, and that's leading us down this path here. I also was a little bit surprised with Frankie Montas, but when you start to look at it, it's like, okay, well, Dean Kramer's under $7,000. I can see how you can get the Mason Black. That's a good call out there. Montas is 7,700, Cabrera is 6,700, and then everybody else is relatively expensive. Jose Quintana gets to go against the Chicago White Sox. I don't really feel great about Quintana, but he's in play as an SP2 as well. Same thing goes for youngster Zebby Matthews against Toronto. But as you start to parse this out, I get a little nervous with Montas. This is, he had briefly was with Cincinnati to start the year before he ended up getting moved to Milwaukee there. But this is not a good pitcher's park here, right? Great American Ballpark is the most home run friendly park. Montas has pitched very, very well in his half dozen or so starts since landing with the Brewers. But I'm not really enthralled with this matchup in any form or fashion. I don't feel great about Montas. A little bit different if it was in Milwaukee, but I don't really want to go after the Reds. So the guy I dug into a little bit more was Cody Bradford here. Now, I figured this morning when I was looking into this, I'm streaming. I picked up in season long. I picked up a bunch of Edward Cabrera because I'm like, all right, the walks are going to be the walks, but the strikeouts could really happen today. That's perfectly fine. He's perfectly fine as an SP2, but I figured he would be a little bit more popular, and that's sort of how this is playing out. Bradford is, let's see, about half the popularity. He's 14% on DraftKings, whereas Cabrera is at 22.6. Bradford is about the same as Montas here. But Bradford, the interesting thing, so this is going to be his 17th career start, 30th total appearance. He's 26 years old, moved into the rotation as a full-time starter this season. In 5 August appearances, he has 3 quality starts, a 3.3 ERA, and 25 strikeouts in 27 2/3 innings, with only 5 walks, 4 home runs. So we had that shared moment with the Oakland Athletics when they raced from let's just call it the Final Four, meaning the last 4 teams in the offense, not up on the offensive standings, not the good Final Four, but the Final Four. That's what my friends in college, they went to the college across the state. They used to call this is going to be horrible, but they would call their version the worst 4 sororities. They called them the Final Four to be like, oh, we got to have a mixer with one of the Final Four tonight. People are so cruel. But back to the real Final Four here. Yeah, these guys are not that good. Athletics, that is, since in their last 30 games, they are averaging 4 runs per game. That is the 7th fewest. These lineup has 26, almost a 27% strikeout rate since the start of last year, which looks good for Bradford as well. So the knock against Bradford, young lefty, still figuring it all out, but flashing talent here. His strikeouts have been kind of all over the place, but the underlying strikeout stuff is there. So he's the guy that I'm kind of going with as my guy just outside of Woo. If you want to, I would play him in cash with Woo. If you need that extra money moving down from Wheeler is getting you, the 2 extra bat upgrades that you want, I would feel comfortable going that route. I play my cash games a little bit more. It's not really aggressive, but I don't always go super chalk either. So, but those 3 pitchers in my mind would be the 3 to target there on that one. Do you have anything to say about Cole Reagans, who appears to be the 3rd most likely pitcher to finish in the top 2 tonight here for us, along with his counterpart, UC Kikuchi? Do you want these lefties against those offenses? I don't.
Not really. Probably rather play Kikuchi here. Even though I think Reagans is the better pitcher, you get a price discount. KC's lineup not looking great right now with Pasquantino out. Again, I don't think Houston's lineup is that special outside of the top of it either. So I understand both pitchers here. I just think the offenses against them are good enough where I don't really want to go to either side of the game. But it's definitely a game where all 4 sides are in play. Like Kikuchi, Reagans, and then in tournaments, Royals and even some Houston's in play just because of the context of the slate. But clearly, I think the pitching would be the priority. Kikuchi's getting ownership as he should. We saw what Framber Valdez did yesterday, and no reason why Kikuchi couldn't have a similar performance here.
Yeah, that is perfectly true. Sorry, doing too many things at once here. Okay, you have quick time for a story. So
always.
We have our beach condo, right? So we call it the beach place. Call this the pros. I'm working out nicknames, but we also have another place that we just started moving into. It is a 2-bedroom. Both of them are 2-bedroom, 2-bath. They're about 1,100 square feet, right? So these aren't far from gigantic. Hell, you could add a 3rd one of those and it would be about the size of the house we moved out of in Virginia. So I call the other place AAA because it's not the same as being on the beach. It's about an hour away from here, but the AAA stands for Active Adult Abode because it's in one of those active adult communities, right? You got to be 55 or older. So yeah, that was my thing. So, and I love to torment my wife with stupid nicknames and house names. So funny enough, the guy was installing our security system there and the home monitoring system. And I was in one of the other rooms on a work call, and I come out and he's like, "Hey, do you do podcasts?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he looks at me and goes, "I know who you are." So he had remembered it must have been from the Roto Grinders days because he does more sports betting and stuff now. He's like, I heard your voice, and I'm like, I know that voice. Why do I know that voice? So he probably remembers me with a less white beard and more a darker beard. But he's like, yeah. He goes, "Oh, I've watched your shows." So we were talking about lamenting that we have only the Hard Rock Casino here in Florida. But my wife's just shaking her head. So then we're talking sports instead of him showing us how to set the stuff up as my wife's glaring at me. So there we go.
That's amazing.
So yes. All right. So back to our fun here. So you have Tyler Anderson and Jose Barrios.
Yeah,
Barrios
I'm good on both those guys.
Yeah, he's outpitching. Barrios is outpitching his metrics. Anderson's strikeouts are down. He's getting, he's on the wrong side of the age curve there, but he gets the strikeout happy Mariners. I don't really feel great about stacking against those guys, right? We've got 5 other spots I'd rather go to, but I don't really want to play those guys. Do you would either pitchers or either team land in any of your lineups that you're crafting tonight?
Between Barrios and Anderson.
Yeah,
No.
would you stack against them? Would you play them? It just feels like I don't feel great about either side here.
I would stack Minnesota I would definitely stack Minnesota or Seattle before using either pitcher, but probably neither team I'm going to stack. And I just use pieces like Julio Rodriguez is notoriously streaky. He's on one right now. So he's a guy I like a lot. I don't really want a full stack against Tyler Anderson, but certainly fine with pieces. And then Barrios, no problem stacking against him. It's just, how much of a priority is Minnesota on this particular slate?
I say, Chad's like, that's a horrible story. Well, it's funny. It's not ha 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 funny. It's more small world. Well, funny is maybe the right word. Slight chuckle, slight humor. Yes. Was not, yeah. Larry C says Mrs. EMac shoots daggers. Oh yeah, she was not happy with it. And then one of our other friends, she was there, so she was texting her husband. She's like, "Oh my God, EMac got recognized. It's so funny. The guy knows who he is." So, oh, good times. The world is smaller. It's getting smaller every day. Anything else from the pitching here that you want to throw out, or shall we start to turn the tide here and look towards the offenses?
No, I like Wheeler. Just to sum it up, I like Wheeler. A lot of good pitchers on this slate. A lot of guys in tougher spots, but for me, it's Wheeler, Woo, Mason Black. Those are the three guys I'm going to have a lot of tonight. My big stand is Mason Black over Cabrera, even though I totally understand why Cabrera is getting love.
All right, I'm going to make up for that story because I'm going to tell you guys how to save some money here. So right now, the college football package is 20% off with the promo code Game Day, and we have college football sims. It's their debut this week for week 1. We were beta testing them behind the scenes for week 0. And then I think they were out earlier this week because I know somebody was sharing some screenshots there. They took down the mini max. So promo code Game Day gets you 20% off on any college football package. So you guys definitely want to check that out. We have 14 weeks of college football. There's some more going on tomorrow, and then obviously week 2 goes through week 14, and then we get the playoffs, the bowl season, all of that. So that stretches out for like another 17 game days. Obviously the slates are smaller, but you're going to want to get in on the fun here with the college football sims. And Greg Ehrenberg did a fantastic video on it. I watched it today, and he actually is just showing you how to utilize the sims overall. And I realized I was doing a couple things that I thought were proper or the correct way to get to where I wanted to get with the baseball sims, just by listening how he was doing his settings and at which point he was starting to do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, you know what? This was more straightforward than the baseball video. Of course, I'm more familiar with having done the sims most of the season, but I will say that video is simple. It's about 14 minutes long, and it will make sense if you are still, I don't know what to do with the sims, or you have them and you're not sure what to do with them. Check those out. It's on the Stochastic YouTube channel. I will drop it here in chat as well, but I found that very, very helpful when I was watching it this morning. All right, top stacks. Well, let's talk Coors Field here. What is our implied total? Did it get over 12 yet? 11.5 it looks like. So Dean Kramer, Ryan Feltner. There's no sneaky about playing either one of these. There's only pitchers. There's only foolishness. Last night, you could kind of make an argument for Albert Suarez. Tonight, I don't want to make an argument for any of these guys. What do you got for us in Coors Field?
Yeah, I mean, Baltimore especially looks amazing here against Feltner. They're so expensive. They haven't been great recently. They were pretty popular last night. Their price tags are so prohibitive. I'm curious as to what their ownership gets to tonight, but I'm definitely getting to them because they're so expensive. I think it's going to be hard for the masses to prioritize them. With Wheeler, obviously there's Cabrera. He's going to be really popular with Baltimore. I'm not playing Cabrera. I'm playing the Giants. So I don't mind eating the Baltimore ownership considering what I'm playing around them. And their ownership isn't even going to be crazy because of how expensive they are. They will be the highest owned team. Like, and their ownership will be probably, double what we're projecting in smaller fields. But even that's not crazy high. It's 10-game slate. You got Rutschman and Gunner, who's almost 7K. The whole lineup is expensive. So I like the entire lineup. They're the top stack on the board for me. And then I just mentioned it. I like the Giants a lot here. I think Cabrera is extremely volatile. He's got really good strikeout upside, but also puts guys on base. I like how the Giants got going late last night, won that game in the bottom of the 8th. Cabrera's going to be popular. The Giants won't be. They're the perfect contrarian stack to pair with Baltimore for me. So I like Baltimore and I like the Giants a lot, but a lot of good stacks on the board tonight.
All right. Yeah, the Coors Field stacks are, they're glorious when they work out. There's no doubt about that. But it's baseball, so of course there are other paths towards glory here for those alternative routes. I like the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, the interesting thing, I'm going to get over here to the top stacks tool. The interesting thing about Milwaukee is they are, let's see, I believe they're still slated to go against Cincinnati with a bit of a bullpen game. Let's see here. Okay, so it's going to be Jake Junis. So I wondered if they were going to bring somebody out. Sorry, I hadn't seen that. They played a doubleheader yesterday. So I was looking through who we thought that Fernando Cruz might start and go an inning or two, right? Because he's a guy that is even when you start to look for their multi-inning relievers, they don't have that many in there because they ended up using Spears in one of the games yesterday. I think he went 2 or 3 innings. They had to use Luke Mahle at the end of the second game. He gave up 6 runs. It's the 3rd time he's pitched this month. First runs he's given up this year, but you don't want him pitching out there. What, your 32 or 33-year-old catcher, right? That's probably not a good thing if he is out there pitching. So Jake Junis, what is the town bike, right? Everybody's going to take a ride. He is been played for 5 teams in the last 4 years or something like that. He's kind of been everywhere. Why? I mean, we always love to pick on him. It allows a lot of power. This is actually probably better for us that he is starting because he will have the capability of going 3 or 4 innings before he gets run out. So this is actually better than having the bullpen game. In analyzing the bullpen game, a lot of their guys have gone the last 3 days or 3 of the last 4, 2 of the last 3, because that doubleheader really ended up using some of their players. So I didn't see really anybody else. Maybe Buck Farmer was going to go out there for more than 1 inning, but Tony Santillan, he's probably not. Emilio Pagan, Alex Diaz, those guys, just, this is not going to happen. So it makes sense that they got Junis in there. I'm even more excited now to look towards the Brewers since Christian Yelich was hurt. They've played, I want to say it's like 30 or so games. Let's see, 34 games without Christian Yelich. They're averaging 5.17 runs per game. That is the 7th highest in the league. So almost 5.2 runs per game. That's really, really good. And this isn't really like smoke and mirrors. It's just contributions up and down the lineup. It's sort of the everyone eats aspect, and it's hard to pinpoint and say, this is the guy I want to get, right? Okay, we like Adames, sure. We like Contreras, sure. Terang, when he gets on base and steals, it's fun. But it's coming from all up and down the lineup. So I like the Brewers today. What is your take on that with Junis?
Junis stinks.
Yeah.
The Brewers are a really good stack tonight. I put them right in line with like the stacks I was talking about. There's, Baltimore, the Brewers, the Rockies, the Dodgers, the Mets. Like, there are plenty of good stacks tonight. So yeah, I think a lot of them are in play, and Baltimore is right in the mix as like an upper echelon stack. I think Baltimore's a better stack personally, but so does the field. Like, Baltimore's going to be higher owned. So yeah, I certainly get prioritizing the Brewers against a not good Jacob Junis here.
Right. So let me look at who their best guys against the lefties. Yeah. So yeah, Rhys Hoskins stands out, but even though he's batting 7th, he would be up there with Adames and Contreras for me. I know Jackson Churio was dealing with a sore ankle. It does look like he should be in the lineup. So that is good news. Yep, he is in the lineup. So this should be a fun one. The other team is the Dodgers. So they are taking on Merrill Kelly here. So Dodgers have a 4.9 implied run total here. Chase Field roof is closed for this series. We may start to see it get opened up on Fridays in 2 weeks in their next homestand. It's usually around the time where they start considering opening it, since things cool down a little bit there in Phoenix, cool down to like 100 degrees instead of 115. But the thing about Merrill Kelly, a couple things. One, he's way older than everybody thinks. He's 36. He was the one that had the winding path detour through, I forget if it was the KBO or the Japanese league. He had a circuitous route before he got to the pros here. So still a solid pitcher, but he missed almost 4 months with a sore shoulder. So this, in his 3 starts back from that, he has a 6.8 ERA, a 1.3 whip, and 11 strikeouts in 16 innings. His velocity's down 1 mile to 2 miles an hour across all of his pitches. Makes sense. Long layoff, and it was for a sore shoulder. So that is just something we could potentially see the Dodgers feasting on. BVP, we don't like, but collectively, the Los Angeles lineup had 234 at-bats against Kelly. These are the players that should be in the lineup tonight. They had a 303, 368, 491 triple slash. So that's batting average, on base, and slugging. That's borderline all-star level. That's today's baseball. All-stars aren't going to be producing at that level. So they have a good history against him. So, EMac, you're recommending the Dodgers. Way to go out on a limb. Yes, on a Coors Field slate that has the batters of Birdland in Denver right now, I'm going to recommend the Dodgers as an alternative path. Obviously, this is not a new discovery because one of the best teams in the league. But how are you thinking about the Dodgers? And did you notice those weaknesses that have appeared with Kelly? Because I know you like to look at some of the baseball savant pages.
Yeah, his velocity's been down recently. Dodgers look great here as a contrarian stack. They're not going to get a lot of love because of Baltimore. They're getting enough love and they're expensive enough where I'd rather play Baltimore over them. But I get it. Like if I were playing Cabrera and another chalky pitcher, I'd be really thinking about playing the Dodgers over the Orioles. I'm not doing that though. I'm not playing Cabrera. I'm playing Giants against Cabrera, and I'm playing Mason Black. So I'm going to play the better stack in my eyes, which is Baltimore. But I think that the Dodgers are a great differentiator stack off of Baltimore, who's going to be a little bit more popular.
Right. I'm dropping just quickly here. I'm going to drop this in chat. Longtime viewer and stochastic member Melissa wanted to do a frenemies of EMac football league. So I think it was going to be like a $50 league or $100 league. She's trying to generate some interest to see if we can get 10 or so gamers into this. You can reply on that tweet that I just put there. If you're in Stochastic, you can reach out to me or her in the Discord. Clearly, the clock is ticking here, so I'm sure we would target like a Tuesday or Wednesday night draft. But if we get the interest there, we will look at that. But first come, first serve. Check that out. Speaking of the NFL, we've got a week 1 sale that you're really going to want to hear about. You can get the entire Stochastic core package for $1. Just $1 using the promo code KICKOFF. What's included in the package? Well, the lineup generator, which we talk about for baseball, talk about for basketball. We've used it a ton for NFL. It also has showdowns. You get the DraftKings Pick 6 Optimizer. You get the Underdog Fantasy Optimizer, the PrizePicks Fantasy Optimizer. You get NFL point projections, ownership projections, the single lineup simulator, the post-contest simulator. Oh, yeah. And you get the contest generator. That's right. That's what the Sims are. So not only do you get the lineup generator, you get the Sims, and you get the single team or single lineup Sims. It's for $1 for the first week. That's promo code KICKOFF. If you're not jumping right now to go get that, Kick yourself. Promo code kickoff. I'm actually excited for week 1 this year. I have another 49 drafts I need to do. I completed the goal, Matt, of getting 150 tickets in the DraftKings best ball contest. I have 49 more I need to draft. It's gonna be something. I want to remind everybody we are sponsored by Underdog today. They have the largest best ball contests in the world for NFL. That would be Best Ball Mania 5. You can sign up with the first deposit match of 50% up to $250. That means if you put in $500, they will give you $250. For those of you that already, like me, have signed up for Underdog, they check your email. There's a promo code. I don't know if it expired last night or if it's still good for today, but to give you a 10% reload offer there up to $250 on that. So you get the extra $25 that way. But they have all the best ball contests you can dream of. They've got eliminator contests. They've got weekly winners contests. They've got the best ball mania. They've got individual leagues where it's a self-contained league that you're going after for prizes instead of your league with everybody else. They've got pick'ems. They've got the head-to-heads. They've got all sorts of fun stuff there with all the sports, college football included there. In their prop games. So this is a great spot to play. Thankfully, they are back in Florida. So I'm very happy about that. They weren't in Florida for long, but they're back. So check that out. That is Underdog. You can get the link for that deposit offer in the YouTube description below us here. I'm sure producer Mike has already put that into the chat.
Also, it looks like you can. It's right on the landing page right here. You'll see it says fill it up.
Oh.
The 10% bonus is right at the top above the thing. So go ahead and deposit.
Perfect. They're looking to take care of us. They're looking to take care of us. All right, back to the stacking here, Matt. So called out the Dodgers. All right. The other team that was on the short list for me was the New York Mets. When I was writing this stuff up this morning, I see that they are our number 2 stack, it looks like. They are taking on Davis Martin. What do you think about Davis Martin? He was someone I had streamed a little bit in season-long leagues. I did not bother to pick him up today because I don't want to tangle with the Mets, especially the Mets on the road. They see, similar to Seattle, I know I just researched Seattle. I know they see a 0.6 run increase per game when they're on the road. I'm guessing the Mets leaving Citi Field see something similar. You ready to target the Mets?
I think the Mets are fine. I don't think Martin's good. I don't think he's like some gas can either. On a lot of slates, they might be the top stack. They're not to me with Baltimore, looking clearly better than them, but they're a lot cheaper. So the Mets look good here, also coming in a little bit under-owned. We're seeing that kind of all over here where teams are just a little bit under-owned, but Baltimore's the most under-owned. So, all things considered, I like Baltimore more, but again, the Mets are cheaper. And they're also in a good spot. So I would fault no one for prioritizing the Mets here. I think they're another team kind of like the Dodgers where they're a nice pivot off the Orioles, but I think that their ownership is going to be kind of similar to Baltimore's here. Wouldn't even be surprised if, again, kind of just like last night, if Lindor is significantly more popular than Gunnar, considering the price tag, et cetera. So I like the Dodgers more as a contrarian stack, but the Mets are easier to get to.
Fair enough. Going down the list a little further, we kind of mentioned Seattle against Tyler Anderson. I loved Seattle last night. They were mostly solid. Not all the production didn't quite go to the players I was hoping it would go to, but still 9 runs. That was good. You've got Texas against Joey Estes. Estes is a solid pitcher, or at least a pitching prospect. He is not infallible, but he is not a complete gas can either. Sort of what you were saying in the last section there. But Texas, does that intrigue you at all? Would you look to Arizona against Gavin Stone? He's got a lot of holes in his game. The Arizona lineup missing Marte and Walker, but Corbin Carroll has been on fire. Got his 3rd career home run off of Kershaw last night.
Yeah, Carroll's been amazing. Texas and Arizona 2 stacks, I think, look good here. On a lot of slates, they would look really good. On this slate, they just look good. I'm not afraid to pick on Gavin Stone, even though I don't think he's bad. And there are bad pitchers on this slate. Texas. Estes has been so much better at home that picking on him on the road is intriguing. They've been kind of dead recently, so I'm not like uber excited to play them, but I like the spot they're in. It's just the teams that you're playing them over. So yeah, I'm probably not going to play Texas. Between the two, I like Texas slightly more, but they're both like in play as viable upside stacks. I don't see why they wouldn't be.
All right. I see a few people in chat asking, when does that $1 promo expire? So I would suspect the offer for the $1 of content will expire when week 1 Sunday Night Football kicks off. If you get it now, you get everything through NFL week 1. I misspoke. The Monday Night Football, the doubleheader. So I would. Is it a doubleheader this time? I've lost track. We've got Friday Night Football this week. We've got like 2 or 3 Monday night doubleheaders in the first 7 weeks. We've got Black Friday games. The NFL is just like overtaking everything right now. So that I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do all my content, etc. But now I can't remember if there's a doubleheader. But I think there's 3 Monday doubleheaders this week. Anyway, that $1 gets you all NFL content through week 1, full stop. You buy it now or you buy it Sunday morning, you get week 1 content until there is no more week 1 content. There's no timing this one to also get week 2. That's an easier way to say it. You get week 1 for $1. Buy it now or buy it Sunday morning. You still have access through Monday Night Football. Hopefully that's clear. And if I'm wrong, we're going to make that be the rule anyway, unless it's more favorable to you guys. So that I decree it. I have this power, right? I can shout at the clouds and I can shout, CEO Tom, I'm coming with the pitchforks. I'm bringing the gamers with me.
There is
right.
no doubleheader, by the way. It's because they put my stupid Eagles on Friday night.
Oh, it's the Brazil game, right?
Yeah, the safe game.
Wait, no, is it in Brazil? It's not in Venezuela, right? It's in Brazil.
No, it's
right?
in Brazil.
It's in Brazil.
And they're told not to wear green, both teams, because it's a rival color. But so they pick 2 green teams to play there because that makes sense.
I heard that it's all fine there though. Like I heard.
I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure it's real chill there.
I mean,
they're not letting them out of the hotels, but I'm sure
nothing bad could happen. I'm assuming the game's in Rio de Janeiro. Nothing bad could happen there, right?
I mean, I heard the same podcast that Brandon Jacobs said that on. I mean, I think there's a little bit more to it than that.
Yeah. Well,
yes.
We'll see.
Well, good times. And then, so we've got games in London. We've got a game here, and we got a game in Mexico City as well. Again, so yeah, football. It's everywhere. Anything else you want to mention about our stacks here? We're going to take a quick look at FanDuel. A few people are asking for top stacks and top pitchers on FanDuel. What do you have here for as we wind down sort of the DraftKings portion?
For top stacks, I think that again, it's deep tonight. Baltimore is the top stack for me in a tier of their own. Then after them, I think the Mets and Dodgers look good. Then after those 2 teams, a ton of teams look also good. On a lot of sites, they'd be really good stacks. The Rockies, Brewers, Mariners, Rangers, Diamondbacks. I like the Giants a lot going against that Cabrera ownership. Their price tags, Yastrzemski leading off. So I'm playing a lot of Baltimore and San Fran, but bunch of viable spots tonight, no doubt about it.
All right. So talking about FanDuel, the one pitcher site, I would do more to get to Zach Wheeler. Again, we mentioned that while the Braves have been winning a lot, like 10-3 over the last 13 games, they have just scored 5 or more runs on 5 occasions. They have scored 3 or less. I can't remember the number, but it's like 7 or 8 times. So they've hit 4 a couple times in there. So I would want that because Wheeler in line for a quality start. Quality start bonuses are important on FanDuel. He has 19 on the season. I think his career high is 20 or 21, so he's closing in on that. He would be my main priority. DraftKings, I'm okay dipping back down, skipping him and going with Woo or someone else. Woo is only $500 less than Wheeler on FanDuel. That kind of takes Woo out of contention for me. He's going to need to be darn near perfectly efficient to get through 6 innings. Can he against the Angels? Sure. Why not? But that is, you need 6 innings and 3 or fewer earned runs to get the quality start. I don't know that he's going to get that there. I don't know that Bradford gets that. So those are the 3 guys I like on FanDuel or DraftKings. I only like Wheeler on FanDuel. I'd be okay with Kikuchi or Reagans. You're trading strikeout potential for you're playing with fire, right? Both these teams, amazing offenses. Both are good against Southpaws. These guys are going against each other. The win is in question. These guys, if they're pitching well, should get a quality start. But if they melt down, well, your night's over anyway. But we should see both these guys looking at half a dozen to 8 strikeouts. Okay, that can make up for a few mistakes there. So I'd be very concentrated at the top there for FanDuel. So it really would be, as our top 3 pitchers are, Wheeler, Kikuchi, and Reagans. Between them, and you add it all up, they have about just shy of a 30% chance of one of those guys being the best pitcher on FanDuel. So even then, it's not like these other players are bad. Stuff can happen, but you need Wheeler to go sideways probably. And there's his popularity is going to be 6.4%. By going with him, you're almost going contrarian. Now you're going to have to forego one of the stacks, but I think you could do a solid stack and then 2 cheapies and then 2 good one-offs. So I'd be willing to go that path. That would be my FanDuel take. You want to add anything on that?
No, looks pretty similar. I'm not playing on FanDuel tonight, but if I was, I'd probably be taking similar approaches. You don't get as much leverage against Cabrera.
Yeah.
But I like San Fran tonight. Like, I think this is a good spot for San Francisco here. Baltimore's getting a lot more love. They're easier to fit. You can only play 4 of them on FanDuel, which is a factor. I think Colorado probably gets swept under the rug a little bit. They're even more expensive than the Orioles here, and Kramer has not been good. So I think I like Colorado a little bit more on FanDuel. The ease of getting to Baltimore on FanDuel makes me like them less in tournaments.
Okay. That is an agreeable point. I would probably, if you're going to go a little contrarian, look to the lefties of the Mets against Martin. That would be, if for those one-offs, that would be the guys I would go to. I don't mind the full stack, the 4-man stack either, but that would be a good path, or 2 of the Dodgers as your 2 one-offs. All righty, we got about 12 or so minutes here until a lock. We talked about weather, not really an issue. We talked about underdog, using the link in the YouTube description below us. If you have not yet signed up there, you can get a 50% deposit match up to $250, meaning if you put in $500, they'll give you $250. You put in 100, they're going to give you 50. You put in 50, they're going to give you 25. Get it? 50% match on your deposit. Those funds come out first. We also said, hey, for those of you that got it, they've got a deal going on their site for 10% redeposit bonus. I think that caps out at $25. So if you put in $250, they'll give you $25. We talked about promo code game day getting you 20% off of college football packages here. Any college football package, that's going to go away. And then NFL week 1 content, promo code kickoff gets you all of our NFL content for week 1 for $1. Try it out. 17 more weeks of the regular season after week 1, plus 2 very robust week 1 and week 2 playoffs. Check it out. You're going to want to be here for it. It's going to be fun. I believe Maddie B and I are going to be doing NFL Sunday Night Showdown. Is this true, Matt?
This is not confirmed yet, but we might be.
We might be. Okay. It's always, and we say that because I get a new co-host almost every year for Sunday Night Football, because people have families and kids and other things. So sometimes it can be a little tricky. I don't have either, and I'm here because I work during the week, so this is my fun time to do these shows here. So we will see, but you're going to get us for all of the NFL primetime games. You'll get live before lock for those, and then of course huge block, 4-hour block of NFL content next Sunday. Tomorrow, this Sunday, it's our last Major League Baseball DFS show for Sunday. We will be there Monday through Saturday until the rest of the regular season, but this will be our last Sunday show because the contests basically disappear in week 1. To the point last year, I think by NFL week 4, DraftKings, FanDuel, and Yahoo combined were putting out less than $20,000 amongst counting high dollar contests, the quarter, whatever they were. 3 sites barely putting $20,000 out there. So NFL is king, which is why you want to use promo code kickoff to get week 1 content for $1. $1. Home run calls, Matt. What do you got for us?
I'm gonna go with Coors is not. I assume we're not playing guys from
We're
Coors
not
here.
going to Coors.
Yeah,
badges. We don't need no stinking badges.
I'm gonna go with a guy in the middle of that San Francisco.
I was gonna say you're going to San Francisco.
You know I am. Give me Matt Chapman. Big RBI double yesterday. Cabrera, very volatile, puts guys on base. I like San Fran a lot tonight. Game starts a little bit earlier, which helps. Offense is here, like nothing special, but it starts 9:10 Eastern, so 6:10 local. So it's not huge, but give me Matt Chapman here.
All right. I'm gonna go with Corbin Carroll tonight. Shoulder must be feeling better. We're getting some more production out of him. He's batting leadoff going against Gavin Stone. And yes, you are correct, Matt. That 10-10 start was kind of brutal last night. Not as brutal as the 11 p.m. kickoff for the University of Washington Huskies tonight. Go Dogs. I'm sure I will be reading about that box score in the morning since they are like 3 touchdown favorites. So let's see what chat has put together here for home runs. We've got Ramon Urias, Anthony Santander, Whit Merrifield, Adrian Del Castillo. Nice, cool little call out there going. Sir Charles is going with me into Arizona. Let's see. That'll work. That looks like what everybody's got. So we're going to slide on out of here, get our lineup set up. You got 9 minutes until lock. Everybody tune in tomorrow. We will be here for MLB, the last hurrah. And then it's all NFL Sundays for the next 4 or 5 or 6 months. It's going to be glorious. It's going to be glorious. Follow Matt on Twitter at Fantasy Tips Matt. You guys can find me at EMac DFS. And of course, it is stochastic_COM. With that, gamers, good luck. Matt Olson, Rooker, Santander. There we go. Yeah, got a little Santander love.
Bryce Harper, send us that.
Bryce Harper. There we